So I'm going to do this video to anybody listening needing to know about getting their passport renewed or getting a passport. I needed to renew my passport, went on the government site and found out that my passport, because it's 15 years since it was issued, or since it expired, that I needed to just apply for a whole new one. And so it's been 23 years. So when I got my passport, we went to the post office. We were living in South Carolina and went to the post office, and we just had to fill out a whole bunch of papers, and that was it. So since I'm in here in Florida, I didn't know, and it's because it's been such a long time frame, I didn't know if anything had changed. And so I got on the Google and did the search, the old search, and saw that FedEx does passports. And it was the whole page that pulled up on Google search was all FedEx. And so I just assumed, we know about assuming, that the post office didn't do passports anymore. And you keep hearing how the post office is cutting back, and their services have changed, and everything's changed. And so and 23 years is a pretty long period of time. So I thought, okay, well, now FedEx is doing it. I couldn't figure out why FedEx would be doing it, but anyway, I called the number that was on the website, and this girl came on, and she told me I needed to go. She found out where I was, and she said the closest place for me to go was Lakeland, which is about a 20-mile drive. And she gave me the address, but then she told me the first thing I need to do was to go on the website, the FedEx website for the passport. It's called Rush My Passport. And log in, make an account, and then it takes you to another site that's called My Government Works, or Government Works, or something like that. Government Works or Gov Works. Anyway, and so you make an account, and then you go in and you look at the criteria for each form, because there's different forms for different circumstances. And my circumstance, I found the one that fit in all the criteria, and went and did pulled up the form and started filling it out. All this took over an hour. And so I filled out all the paperwork, and here's the forms. It's like, it prints out like 3 pages of stuff. And this first page is all the instructions once you print this out. So I filled out, in the form I had to figure out my parents' birthdays. If you're divorced, they want to know your marriage and your divorce dates. Who remembers that shit? And on top of it off, they want to know your ex-husband's birthday. I just put that no. So anyway, so after you do all that, I had to call back the girl at the number that I had for the FedEx and tell her I didn't have a picture, because you have to send a picture with this along with some other stuff. And she said, oh, well, you can come to the place, the FedEx place, and we'll do your picture for $16. And so I thought, well, okay. And so when I'd finished this, it takes you to another site that shows you the different post offices and the different FedEx places where you can take your form to send it to the government, because you have to write another check to the government for $211.36. And so anyway, so I looked in there and I saw that they had my post office. Well, it's not my post office, but it's a post office in the town closest to me, or the town that I live by. and 6 miles away. So I thought, well, I'll just go to that post office, and it says that I need to take this form to that post office. It says it's under acceptance agent. You have to take all these listed documents with you to a local acceptance agent. So and they gave the address of that post office. And so I thought, oh, okay. So when I pulled up that post office just to see exactly where it was, because I really hadn't been there, and saw that they did passports and passport pictures. Well, so I thought, well, I'll just go there and have them deal with all this stuff. And so it said you could do a walk. They had walk-ins or appointments, and it's best to have an appointment. So I tried to do an appointment, and the soonest I could get in was like the first or second week of February. I forget which. And they wouldn't accept my appointment. And so it popped up a window saying I would just have to walk in. And so and I don't know why, some glitch, I guess. So I went the next morning to that post office and made sure that there was hours for walk-ins. And so I was in that frame, frame of the hours that they had set aside for walk-ins. So I go in there and I'm waiting and waiting and waiting because she's dealing with someone that's taken forever. And finally I get up there and I tell her what I'm there for, and she says, you have to have an appointment for that. And I said, well, your website. She goes, nope, you have to have an appointment for that. And I tried to tell her, why is your website saying? I don't know, you just have to have an appointment. And then I showed her I said, well, I have everything, I just need a picture. And she says, she looked at all my papers and she says, nope, you have to have an appointment for this too. And she said that it's a special person that works in the post office that does this job. It's not just anybody at the window. And so you have to have an appointment. And she says, but if you want to get this done today, she says you can go to the courthouse in Lake Alfred. So, and she said that's about 15 minutes away. And I said, okay, well, I'm already out here doing this stuff, so tell me where to go. So she gave me the address, and I put it in my GPS and drove right there. And it was about 15 minutes away. And it's a huge, huge building, and it's the county seat, the courthouse for the county seat. And it has all the offices in it, like the Treasury and Vital Statistics and family services, all the stuff in there. It was a huge building and looked brand new, and it was out in the country. Anyway, so I go in there, and sure enough, 10 minutes later, I walk out with my passport being done. The girl at the courthouse, she told me that it was going to take 2 to 3 weeks. Well, when I filled out my FedEx form, the FedEx site, when I got done, at the bottom of it, it listed a whole series of prices and times that you could have your passport given to you. If you wanted express for 1-day service, it was $1,099. And then it went down from that. So the last one was 6 weeks. Well, yeah, 6 weeks is okay. $119. So I had to put in my credit card for $119 to print off this form, because I thought that was just going to be the easiest way to get my passport. And actually, I thought it was the only way. And it wasn't until after I'd already paid my money that I saw that the post office did do passports. But anyway, the post office isn't very organized, so it's really hard to do anything in there. It's hard enough just to try to mail a package. They want you to think they're organized, but they're not. And anyway, so there was a lot of people waiting that had for their passports, that had appointments for a couple of months. So she told me about the courthouse, and so I walk in there. I was the only person in there. Walked in and walked out in 10 minutes. And it only cost me $50. But here's the clincher. She told me that my passport would be mailed to me in 2 to 3 weeks, that I would receive it, not mailed to me, but I would receive it in 2 to 3 weeks, not 6 weeks for the $119, 2 to 3 weeks for $50. Now what the fuck? FedEx, I just can't believe this. And when I was talking to the FedEx girl, when she was giving me the address for the website to go in and put in all my information, I said, do you remember when the post office used to do this? And she said, yeah. I just kind of laughed. So she was making me think, that the post office, unless she thinks so too, I don't know, that the post office didn't do this stuff anymore, and the FedEx was the only place that you were going to be able to go to get your passport. Well, it's a scam. So when I got home, and when I told that to the courthouse girl and told her how much I paid for those papers, she said, this form that you filled out is free. It's free online. You don't have to pay nothing to fill this form out. And so she says you got ripped off. And so as I was driving home, I said I'm going to call the FedEx people. I'm going to tell them they need to reimburse me my money. They told me that 6 weeks was the soonest I could get it on the dates that I picked. They didn't have one for 2 to 3 weeks. Or if they did, it was probably, a lot of money, $900 or $800 or something, So for 6 weeks, it was $119. So it's crazy. So I said I was going to call and tell them that I'm going to dispute the charges if they don't give me a refund. And I'm going to explain why, of course. And so when I got home, I looked up on the internet. I just wanted to see what other people were saying about FedEx. Pages and pages of people saying it's a scam, don't do it, it's a scam, all saying the same thing that I said. And that all of them said that they ended up getting their passports sooner by going through the post office or through some other means than through FedEx. And so I called FedEx. It took me all day to get through to them, literally all day. I called and was on the hold because they're so busy for 15 minutes first, and then they said you could just leave your number and they'll call you when you're next in line. Well, they didn't call me till 4 o'clock, but I didn't wait till 4 o'clock. In 2 hours, after waiting 2 hours, I called again, and then I just laid the phone down, put it on speaker, and just waited for them to call me while I just did other things. And 30 minutes later, somebody came on the phone. It was a man with a very, very thick accent. I could barely understand him, and his name was Gabriel. So I told him my situation. I said, if you don't give me my refund, I'm getting on the phone and I'm disputing the charges as soon as I'm off the phone with you. And he says, no, we'll give you a refund. We'll void the application. And I said, good. Then he asked me one other question, and I can't for the life of me remember what that question was, but it got me off on some rant. Not attacking him, but just the whole situation that I had gone through, and the whole situation of them charging so much money for something that, and for not even saying anywhere that you could get your passport, through the post office. Instead of, making it look like this is it. This is the end of the line. You have to do it here, or you just don't get a passport. And so I did that. And when I was ranting on the phone, all of a sudden this voice came on the phone, and it was a survey about my call. And of course I gave bad. He had hung up the phone. And whenever they hang up the phone, it goes right to the survey because they want to know how their their customer service rep handled the call. Well, he hung the phone up on me, and so I gave him all the negative, not good, bad, terrible. And at the same time I had been talking to him, I had pulled up on the website for that Rush My Passport, the chat. And it took a long time for the chat to come on, and finally they came on. And so I proceeded to type in the little thing about talking to customer service and the guy hanging up on me, and that I was seeking my refund. If I didn't get it, I was going to dispute the charges with my credit card. And she came I'm assuming, it might have been probably AI, but anyway, came on and said that they were sending me a link to go to click on to fill out or to ask or answer a couple of questions about the service or the situation, so I could get my refund. And sure enough, it came on my email, and I clicked on it, and it just wanted to know the reasons, and gave them the reasons and not so many words. And so now it said 5 to 7 days before I would see it on my credit card statement. So the deal here is, don't use FedEx for your passport business. It's got bad reviews, and if I didn't even think to look to see about reviews on this. I usually do. Anytime I buy anything online, I usually look up a review on that business just to make sure, because you can't tell what's a scam anymore and what's real. So because FedEx is an established business, and I always thought of them in a positive way. Not now. I don't think of them in a positive way. I think of them. Everybody said it was a scam. Not that they were bad business people, not that they couldn't handle their customer service, not that they had a bad product or anything like that. It was a flat out scam. And they're taking money that they shouldn't be taking, and they're taking a lot of it, $119. And it was, and that was another thing. So in this paper, you take this paper up, and you have to have an acceptance agent process these papers that you filled out online, that you printed off. And in order to do that, that was going to be $35. So you're paying $35 to have a certain person do these papers. You're paying $16 to have your picture made, and then you have to pay FedEx or the post office or whoever you're going to mail this through to mail it. And depending on if you mail it 1 day or 2 day or 3 day, you're going to be paying, I guarantee you, $50-$60, if not more, to mail this stuff. And even if it's $20 more, you're paying so much money. The government, $211.36, the $119, the $35, the $16, and then the amount of money to mail it. I went to the courthouse, $50. $50 was all I paid, and I didn't have to do anything but just go get my stand up in front of the camera, let her take my picture, go back to the window. She had me read all the stuff that I put down on the form, make sure everything was correct, sign my name, and walk out. Pay my $50 and walk out. That's it. 10 minutes from the time I walked in to the time I walked out. So let this be a lesson, or just some information for anyone that's trying to get a passport. Do not use FedEx unless you want to just give your money away. That's it.